Hello, welcome to Spread Book Joy. Today I have a reading ramble for you. Get a big cup of tea because I don't know how rambly it's going to be. I want to talk to you about a few things today. So I'll catch you up on the last few things that I read since I last spoke to you. I haven't really finished very much, to be fair. The last I spoke to you, I did my holiday vlog. I have finished Jasper Jones by Craig Silvey, which I have a review out of already. I think it's out already. If not, it's out soon. So I'm not going to talk about that too much, but it's an Australian YA novel. I read it this past September, hosted by Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. That was really good fun. The other thing I did for Straya September, actually, Scott mentioned someone called is it John Safran, who is an Australian investigative journalist, sort of in the style of, I think, John Ronson / Louis Theroux, but a lot more acerbic and humorous in many ways. I find John Ronson and Louis Theroux both hilarious, but they're very sort of understated with their humour, whereas John Safran seems to me like just getting into the nub of things. He just says things that he thinks. But he I was looking at one of the books that was recommended by Scott, and then I discovered that John Safran has an Audible podcast, which is called, it's 5 episodes, it's called John Safran versus the Occult. I'm there for that. I love a podcast. One, I love investigative journalism, especially if it's got a humorous bent to it. And then I also love anything to do with when they're investigating the occult or anything like that. Like, it's really interesting. The first episode is all about Trump, and there was a gang that he was really getting his bee in his bonnet about a few years ago, MS-13, that's it. So they're a dangerous... John travels to Los Angeles in pursuit of MS-13, a dangerous transnational street gang rumoured to have satanic roots. So he's determined to find out whether their dark origin story is true, and if, to this day, the gang kills in the name of the devil. So that's the first episode. Really, really good. If you like anything like that, I'd highly recommend it. So thanks for introducing me. So straight September, I got introduced to Craig Silvey. I got introduced to that podcast, and I'm really going to seek out more by John Safran because I love anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to do a video on podcasts. I've been planning it for a while. I'm a huge podcast listener, so I'm going to put one out there at some point. So watch this space for that. But yeah, I've not really finished very much. I finished Sword of Kaigan, which I've done an individual review for as well, so I'm not going to talk about that too much here, but indie fantasy, Asian inspired fantasy, very, very good. I will put a link to the review for that if you're interested in that at all. I also finally finished a book that I've been reading for a while, Katja Weinhardt recommended, which is called Your Money or Your Life, 9 Steps to Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Achieving Financial Independence, which is by Joe Dominguez and Vicky Robin, who also narrates it. So really interesting, but was very American, so very American focused in terms of like the sort of financial systems over there, the way that money works, tax systems, etc. But other than that, some really thought-provoking things on money and how when we are spending money, like your money is your life. So it's like your money or your life. You use up units of your life, your time to earn money, and then you give that away. And it's kind of made me sit and think about what I'm buying, why I'm buying it, what I'm spending my money on, and that kind of thing, because my income has drastically reduced in the last few years, but I've got more time, and I like that. I like that I've got more time, but I can't keep spending the way I'm spending, because otherwise I'm going to have to go back to working in a way where I don't have time anymore, and I've got more stresses. And then what you do when you're stressed, you go out and you spend money because you're depressed, so you want to go out and buy whatever it is that's your thing. My thing is clearly books, but whatever your thing is, you want to go out and spend money on it because it cheers you up, and then you're getting yourself into this kind of debt cycle. So yeah, really fascinating, really thought-provoking. If you're interested in financial independence, or you're interested in thinking about money more deeply, there's lots of instructions on how you can monitor what you're spending and how you can make massive changes. So I'd recommend it. It was very good, but like I said, very US focused. So in terms of the advice on taxes, on this, on that, on whatever, very US focused. Then I finished Know My Name by Chanel Miller. So I've been meaning to read that for a while. Chanel Miller, basically she was a rape victim. She was the Stanford rapist was the big case. In 2014, she was at a party on Stanford. She got very, very drunk and blacked out. And when she woke up, she was in a rape crisis center and she wasn't told exactly what happened straight away, which, you know, the mind boggles, but she started realizing very rapidly that something terrible would happen, but no one would really tell her what it was. And as the case goes on, she was found being assaulted behind a dumpster, unconscious. She was being assaulted by Brock Turner, who it turned out was one of their swim team athletes, and he was challenged and then chased and tackled and kept for the police by two Swedish guys who passed by and saw what he was doing, and he was assaulting her and she was completely unconscious. And then they go to court and he got prosecuted and he was found guilty, which is like a miracle in itself, because she talks about the way that the system is set up for victims of sexual abuse and assault, and how difficult it is, and how it upsets and upturned her entire life, and the trauma of the court case and the trauma of everything she had to go through just to get justice for this man to be prosecuted. And then when he finally got prosecuted, he got such a lenient sentence that it just beggars belief that he got such a lenient sentence. It just kind of shows you the privilege of these. He was very wealthy. He could afford to hire, like his family, a really wealthy family. They could afford to hire great lawyers who tried to completely destroy her in court. And yeah, the book is so well written. So she got famous. She was still sort of anonymous. She was known as Emily Doe for much of the trial, and then she released this victim's impact statement that she'd written. And I remember reading it at the time it was released, because it got released on BuzzFeed after the trial, and this garnered such support around the world, and millions of people read her victim impact statement. And for the first time, it kind of gave a voice to victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault and rape. So she then revealed who she was, and she's written this book, Know My Name, which is just in absolute painstaking detail goes through what happened to her and the process that she went through to get justice, if you could call it justice. And she is such a good writer. Like, she really is. She knows how to, like, she's got an amazing voice. So I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I think it's a really important book, and I'm really pleased that I read it. But I've been wanting to read it for a long time, but I've been putting it off because of the subject matter, because I find that very difficult, but I think it's important reading. So glad I read that. I'm still reading Empire of Pain. I started that ages ago, but I keep putting it off to read other things, but I'm really loving it. It's a story of the Sackler dynasty, the family that caused the opioid crisis in America. It's by Patrick Radden Keefe, and it's a lot of people have read it here on Booktube. It's I'm really fascinated by the story of the opioid crisis, and I watched Dope Sick with Michael Keaton, and I must read that book as well actually, but Empire of Pain was recommended to me. Also a book to pair up with Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, but I haven't read that yet. But I'm reading Empire of Pain. I've read the first 2 parts of it, and it is a hefty tome, but it's really, again, just terrifying to think that a single family could cause, it's like a genocide, basically, I think. So I'm on the final part of that. I'm still in the middle of reading that. I did start reading Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson, and I really like the writing style, and I read the first sort of 100 pages or so. It's only a very short book. Read the first 100 pages or so really quickly, was really fascinated by it, and then very, very quickly realised I'm not interested, and I just stopped reading it. Not that I won't ever go back to Kevin Wilson, because I think his books are really interesting, but it's about someone who is hired to look after these twins who spontaneously combust every now and again. So, but very odd premise, but really interesting writing, and did make me laugh out loud in quite a few places. But I DNF'd it, and I'll talk about why I DNF'd it in a sec. But I'm also reading The Secret Diary of Hendrik Groen, aged 83 and a quarter years, which is a very funny like Adrian Mole style diary of an OAP who's living in an old age people's home in the Netherlands. So I'm in the middle of that. I won't talk about it too much now, but I had loads of books out on the library app Libby. I'm currently reading a buddy read, by the way, of the Last Argument of Kings, which is the final book in the First Law trilogy. Buddy reading it with Alice and Gemma, so that's ongoing at the moment. But yeah, I had these books out on Libby that had come through that I've been waiting for months, and I was going to read them, and one of them was How to Build a Boat by Elaine Feeney. I want to say Elaine, might be wrong, and the other one that came up was the Kevin Wilson book, and I'd been waiting for months, and the Chanel Miller that came up on Libby. So I read the Chanel Miller, and then the Kevin Wilson book and the Elaine Feeney book, I'm just not in the mood for them. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, just because it's come up on the library app and just because I've waited weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for it, doesn't mean I want to read it right now. So what am I doing to myself? So I wasn't drawn to reading them. So I've kind of had to reassess again why I'm reading a book. What am I doing reading it? Am I getting any pleasure out of it at this moment in time? No. So why am I doing it? So I just returned them. You know what? I waited weeks and weeks and weeks. If at some point in the future I feel the need to read you again, I will. But I've got so many books here that I need to read, that I want to read. So yeah, that kind of, I've done a lot of DNF'ing lately, and I feel like I'm going to do some more DNF'ing. So I think what I might do is, while I've been cataloguing my library here, I feel like I need to go look at my unread books. And there are some books here, like for instance, let's have a look here. Look, here's one, The History of Bees. Okay, this is something I bought in a 3 for 2 or buy one get one half price or something like that, because it looked like it was going to be the interesting buy one get one half price book. You pick it up because it's buy one get one half price, and it seemed interesting at the time, but I don't really care anymore. I don't think I want to read it anymore. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I'm going to pull out books like this, and I'm going to have a look at them, and I'm going to try a chapter, which I don't normally do, but I think I might do it just to see if I want to read any of these books anymore, because I don't know if I do. I really don't. I felt like reading them at the time. I was chatting a bit about this to Anne from Angie's Book Chatter and some of the Book Waffle group. Like, I bought it at the time. I would have been interested in reading it, but since I've been on I had that since before Booktube, and since I've been on Booktube, I've acquired so many books that I desperately want to read. And again, I'm not into reading now since Booktube. I'm not into reading any average books. I don't read anything that's just average. I've got too many books that look excellent to read. So, yeah. That's where I am with that. What I've got to try and do is catch up on Booktube, because I've had a busy few weeks of work. I've had to read a lot of master's dissertation papers, which takes a lot of time and energy. I had to do a lot of that reading, and then I just couldn't bring myself to read anything myself. I can listen to audiobooks, but physically reading was hard after that. I've been busy. I've not felt great, so I've just kind of not had time to watch Booktube. I've been making videos and putting them out there, but comments, for instance, I've been saving comments to do all in one go on a day when I have time to do comments, so I've not been doing comments as attentively as I should have been. So yeah, it's just been a lot lately, and what I am trying to do is put myself first. So if you did make a comment on a video and I have yet to respond to it, I will respond to it. It's just that everything's just a bit much at the moment. The other thing is I've not been able to watch much Booktube, because Booktube requires me to watch and comment, so I'm not going to watch someone's video and not comment. So I need to pay attention when I'm watching, and I need to be able to comment. So I've not done a lot of watching of Booktube lately either, which I feel bad about. But I'm getting a bit more time back to myself. In the next few weeks I should be able to do a bit more of that. So hopefully that should all be cleared up soon. One thing I've been doing is I have bought a few books. I went on a trip to London. We saw the lovely Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. I'll put a picture up here. I did post it on the community tab. We didn't vlog. It was just a lovely day. She's over here in London on vacation, and she asked if me and Alice and Gemma would go meet her, and Gemma's on the way on holiday. The only time Gemma's away this year, she happened to go when Sandy's coming. But Alice and I met her. We had a lovely day. Lots of book shopping, lots of chat, lots of we had some nice afternoon tea and stuff like that, so that was really nice. And I bought a few books. This was on sale, half price, so I got this, Ross Welford. I love Ross Welford. He's a very good writer, really good writer for children. Then I also picked up one that I just, look how beautiful this is. It's a new John Clausen book. He's a Canadian picture book author who I love. It's called The Skull, and it's based on a folktale. So yeah, it just looked absolutely stunning. Look, there we go. So yeah, I love this. Perfect for upcoming October, spooky season. And then we've got, I also bought this. The Last Vampire Slayer, Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, which is set in a future where there's a load of climate change problems, and so vampires can walk out during the day because of what we've done to the sun and everything else. Buffy is a much older Slayer, and yeah, it's an alternate kind of thing. And I got this because Alice absolutely loved it, and I was just like, I need to read this. Then, on the same trip to London, I went on Saturday night to see Mary Beard, who is my classics hero, and she has released a new book, and I saw her in conversation with David Olusoga, who is one of our fantastic British historians as well. I didn't know he was going to be the person doing the conversation with her, so it was just epic. I just completely nerded out, and she was talking about her new book, Emperor of Rome, and we got a copy of the book as part of the audience with, which was at the Barbican. So I'm really pleased about that. So I've got Mary Beard's new book to read at some point. And the other thing I did was I went into Exeter a couple of weeks ago during my time off, and I wandered around, and I've been meaning to go into this place. I'm going to put some footage up to show you. It is called Book Cycle in Exeter, and it is a rather unusual bookshop where you decide the price. Proceeds help build libraries around the world and plant fruit trees across the UK, and it is 100% volunteer run. So it's beautiful. It's just in one of the down by one of the old gates in the old city wall. There's some really kind of historic old buildings, and you can see they're just beautiful, and like you go in and it's got such cozy vibes. I can't wait to go in there and spend some more time in there. But you can choose up to 3 books per day and pay whatever you wish. These books are yours to keep. If you have any books you no longer want, bring them to us and we shall endeavour to find them good homes. All funds raised are used to keep your Book Cycle branch open, build school and community libraries across the world, and plant fruit trees locally. It's all done by donation and volunteering. So you just pay what you think the books are worth. Just gorgeous. And I was really happy because I went in there and I got a proper copy of Lorna Doone, because I had bought one and it turned out to be an abridgment, but I wanted to read Lorna Doone for absolutely ages, so I'm hoping to read this for Victober, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself at the moment to read too much, because yeah, I've just been feeling that like I need to take a step back sometimes and not overdo it with the books. But yeah, that's why I got that copy of Lorna Doone in there. So yeah, so that's everything I've been up to at the moment, reading wise. I hope this hasn't been too rambly for you. What have you been up to? What are you reading at the moment? Hopefully you've been reading some good books. Hopefully you've been well. I've been responding to comments once a week. So if you've commented on my videos and I haven't got back to you, and actually I'm overdue by 10 days to respond to some comments, it's because I'm trying to be good to myself. I'm trying not to spend all my time online and on Booktube. So I will get to your comments. I will respond to every comment. I just haven't been able to recently. But if you put a comment in below, I will try and respond to it at least within a week. So yeah, let me know. What have you been reading? How have you been getting on with books and reading? And if you've never been here before, maybe consider subscribing, because it is a bit rambly though, so I'm not sure why you would. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking like, and hopefully I will see you again here soon. Bye.